Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I built every single Harry Potter movie in Lego form, featuring 8 different mocks based on the 8 movies from the Harry Potter series. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you guys my mocks one by one, starting from the very first movie, the Philosopher's Stone, and ending with the very last movie, the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have the little diorama based on the Philosopher's Stone, where Harry and Ron were both trying to make their way through the platform 9 3/4 wall, which is supposed to open up for them and allow them to enter through the portal, enabling them to go into the magical world of Harry Potter, aka the wizarding world, in other words. At the very back here, we have this little texturized color scheme with tan and a darker version of tan, which I think works pretty well. And of course, we have Harry Potter jamming his cart right through the wall like a very smart 12-year-old should. And we have the little sign here, 9 3/4, very cool, and Hedwig just flying. And right here we have Ronald Weasley with his chocolate frog and his cart. The vision I had in my head pretty much came to life through this mock here. I love having Harry at this weird running angle. It is very cool. It's pretty unfortunate that Harry's face is actually hidden at this very angle, but I promise you Harry's actually there, like just as proof, you know, like that is Harry's face, like, you know. Next up, we have this scene here from the Chamber of Secrets that I've decided to include because it clearly depicts Hermione and Harry in pain, which I guess is the main premise of that movie and most of the Harry Potter movies, watching the Golden Trio suffer, so that is pretty nice there. We have Harry Potter with his loose and wobbly Quidditch arm from the scene where Gilderoy Lockhart absolutely destroyed his arm there. And of course, we have Hermione Granger petrified, which I've decided to include, featuring her sleepy face from the Rescue from the Mer People set. She is literally floating there in this weird trance because obviously she made eye contact with the beast from the Chamber of Secrets and she is now petrified. And I'm going to assume you guys have seen the movies because you pretty much know what's going to happen next. I know that Harry and Hermione weren't both at the hospital concurrently, but I've decided to still include them both because it just goes to show that the movie was pretty much about them being in pain. And of course, we have the little Skele-Gro bottle here. We've got this white flooring for the hospital, and we have some snacks in here like this Pixie Puff cereal, which, you know, you can't survive without cereal, I guess. Just as a little Easter egg, we have this little Gilderoy Lockhart postcard that I've decided to include just to make fun of Harry. We got this little candle on the wall. This is probably the simplest mock that I've made in this little series, and honestly, it was kind of rushed because I was like, I don't really know what to do for the Chamber of Secrets because Lego have done so much stuff for it, and it's kind of hard to do something a little different. But I promise you this video gets a lot better. Next up, we have my personal favorite design, the Prisoner of Azkaban Prison cell, featuring Bellatrix Lestrange with her little habitat, if you will, in jail, because she is clearly having a great time there. I mean, she has a bed, she has letters, she has lighting. I've made sure that Queen Bellatrix is very comfortable in her prison cell. Of course, she has a little sign there saying Azkaban Prison with her prison number and the little Daily Prophet exclusive photos, mass breakout from Azkaban, along with these letters on the ground and a rat. You know, Peter Pettigrew just hanging around. And on the side here, we have some more rock work, and I've decided to go about making it in this cut out staircase fashion because essentially you can have a little view of her cell without the entire prison walled up effect, if you will. So kind of like a snapshot at this very moment. And yeah, in general, I'm very happy with how this mock turned out. It is one of my favorite ones in this series here. And on that, let's move on to the Goblet of Fire. Next up, I have this quick little mock based on the Goblet of Fire, featuring Harry Potter and Cedric Diggory both fighting, quote unquote, for the Triwizard Tournament Cup, because essentially they both made it there at the very same time in the third Triwizard Challenge, and we're kind of like deciding who was going to touch it first to win the contest. And basically they've both decided to not be Slytherins and to touch the cup at the very same time, which I think was a very foolish decision, judging by the aftermath of said event, for Cedric at least. I mean, Harry got to meet Voldemort, so that was very cool for him. And of course, we have a bunch of greenery because this is like a little snapshot of the green maze, which is basically made out of bushes and various green trees and green things and plants and whatnot. And yeah, this is like a little 360 view of this thing. I would say this is the smallest mock in the series, and I decided to keep it nice, simple, and small because it pretty much is simply supposed to show this little scene between Harry and Cedric, and I think it did just the trick. Next up, we have this scene here from the Order of the Phoenix featuring Harry, Sirius, Mad-Eye Moody, Arthur Weasley, and Remus Lupin, all having a great time in this kitchen. I guess it's pretty accurate to the actual depiction of said moment compared to this little picture here. And of course, I've decided to include this little Dumbledore's army sign there just as a little reference because Harry is obviously inspired by the Order of the Phoenix here, and he's like, you know what, let me learn from these guys and make my own group. So that's pretty cool. We have Cheerios on the wall, or I guess cheery owls, you know, no pun intended. It actually quite literally says that. And a chocolate frog, this little vial here, plates on the wall, which I think look pretty cool. This little window, and food. So bon appetit, everyone, have fun. And of course, this little butterbeer cup there, and hardwood flooring. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It is pretty small, and it kind of depicts the scene here in a pretty concise and simple fashion. It does the trick, and I feel like it's okay. Next up, we have this scene here from the Half-Blood Prince featuring Hermione Granger in extreme despair there, which I think is an extremely iconic scene in the Harry Potter series because she's almost never in trouble academically. And this here clearly depicts her making the potion wrong, which is honestly so iconic at the cost of having Harry get everything right, of course, on the side here because it's cheating with the Half-Blood Prince's book there, aka Severus Snape. And on the ground, we have like this little tiled effect here featuring various colors of tiles because essentially the Hogwarts Castle is a very vintage building. And I was like, you know what, might as well just mix it up here. Might look a little messy, but I think it does the trick and really pops out in contrast compared to my other mocks because the flooring was getting kind of boring. And I was like, hey, we gotta like switch things up. So on the side, we have these candles. At the very top here, we have the Potions Classroom quote there, Potassa Carbonate, which is really cool, a skull, and a round table, which is also quite nice. In general, really happy with how this thing turned out, and it is one of my favorite mocks in this little series. Next up, we have this little scene here from the Deathly Hallows Part 1, and in general, I'm extremely happy with how this turned out, because mentally, in my head, I was very nervous building this thing, because as such a huge Malfoy Manor fan, and Malfoy fan, and, you know, Bellatrix Strange fan and such, I was like, I need to perfect this, and I need to make it as cool as possible. So there you go. We have ourselves the entire mock built here, featuring the iconic chandelier, which I am really happy with how it turned out. I just used a bunch of chains, these gem pieces, this little fire piece, and on the side, I put a bunch of portraits because rich people typically tend to have portraits and paintings on their walls, so I was like, you know what, let's go with it there. We also have this little window on the side here, more windows on this side, and I made it quite tall, so it's like double the normal size of a little extension set from Harry Potter, so yeah. And we also have this little checkered flooring, which I think complements the build here quite well and really pops out in contrast compared to all the tans and the different shades of brown and tans found around this mock. So the checkered flooring and the chandelier, I find, really did this design justice. And at the very back, we've got ourselves a really cool archway that I designed. I'm really happy with how this thing turned out. So this is it, basically my Malfoy Manor design from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Last but not least, we have the little mock here that I built for Deathly Hallows Part 2, featuring the duel between Voldemort and Harry Potter. Now, of course, I did not have access to all those fancy clear red and green laser pieces, so I was kind of stuck with making them fight as if they're in Star Wars or something, just pointing blasters at each other, which I think is kind of funny. Basically, Voldemort's platform here can rotate. I've allowed for it to rotate like so you can fight Harry, and you can make Harry's platform also rotate ever so slightly. So yeah, it's kind of restrained there. I just wanted to make this a play set, you know, for ultimate play, so you can have your minifigures just go around there, considering that this is essentially a battleground and things in the battle typically don't sit still, so there you go. We have a little fallen helmet there from one of the older statues, and we also have some brown stuff that I've literally just included because I thought it'll look better like that. And again, they're fighting in this little universe, which is part Star Wars, part Harry Potter, but just honestly, look past that, please. I truly did not have any more translucent pieces, and I couldn't wait 2 weeks to get them in the mail because I wanted this video to come out as soon as possible. But there you go. If you look at it from this side, we have Harry and his little part of Hogwarts versus Voldemort here with his absolute nothingness behind him. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the very last mock in this video. Well guys, that pretty much brings a wrap to the video. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the mocks that I have here based on the 8 different Harry Potter movies. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these designs is your favorite. Personally, I love how the Malfoy Manor turned out, so that's obviously my favorite. I love how my chandelier ended up looking like an actual chandelier, if you will, because I was very nervous when I designed it at first. And on that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye for now.